The account information for 500 million LinkedIn users was leaked in early April of 2021. Was this a data breach or was this something else? Hi, my name is Chris Cozzolino, and I am the co-founder and head of services at Uptown Creation, a B2B marketing and business development company. Before I go into the video, please leave a like and subscribe if this video or any of my other videos have helped you out. That really helps us out a lot. So the topic of what I'm going to be talking about today is, you may have seen news headlines of 500 million data scraped and leaked from LinkedIn users. So I want to talk about what that means and how that applies to the way that LinkedIn might take that. So, long term, I don't think it'll have a huge effect, but in the short term, I think it's important to think about how LinkedIn views it and then how they try to protect their users and what that leads to in the world of prospecting and using the platform. So LinkedIn actually came out with a statement in early April to talk about this breach. This was April 8th, 2021, where they noted that this actually wasn't a system breach, but rather this was data that was scraped by a user base and then shared. And so the difference is, a breach is going to be people actually, hacking into LinkedIn's system and getting it from the back end, whereas scraping is going to be information that is already publicly viewable member profile data. The caveat is, a lot of this member profile data might not be able to be viewed unless you are a first degree connection with that person. So that kind of goes back to the video that I made about why becoming a first degree connection with somebody is so important, and the ability to get, email, phone number, and a lot of other information and ability to contact people. So that is kind of where this data came from. So large, bot companies that have a lot of user base, that have a lot of first degree connections from their clientele, are able to scrape all this information. So, some of the bigger bot companies have tens of thousands of users, and those companies are able to scrape that information. And it's definitely against the terms of service for LinkedIn, and probably against the laws that were enacted after that Facebook data breach happened. So GDPR and all of those laws that came out around data scraping and sharing people's information on the internet. So now that leads me into, what does that mean for regular users like you and me, the people that are doing things, not under the radar and not in a bad light. What it means, though, is that LinkedIn is going to, at least in the short term, put in place more restrictions to make it so bots and automation and the people that are using and abusing the platform can't do that as much. So a common thing that bots will do is view somebody's profile before sending a connection request. So, if you see a random person that views your profile and you get a connection request the next day or a week later, it's probably because they're running a bot. So LinkedIn has already had things in place to make it so there's a cap on how many profiles you can view a day. But my guess is that they're going to enforce that even a little bit harder. And so for anybody that's using bots or automation or anything like that, you're going to want to be extra aware of that, especially over the next few months. For the people that aren't using bots and automation, that's great, and that's what you should be doing. You should pay attention to if you're getting any notification saying that you're sending out too many connection requests. So historically, back in 2015, before Microsoft bought LinkedIn, there was actually a cap of 3,000 connection requests that you could ever send out, and you never got them back. So it was just 3,000 that you could send out. And if you wanted to get more connections, you had to get other people to send you a connection request. They increased that cap to 5,000 then. And since Microsoft took over the company in 2018, that kind of system's gone away entirely, but that's historically what the system was. Now there's no cap on the amount of connection requests that you can send out. That's a known limit, but there is a cap in the amount of volume that you're able to send out, as well as if too many people ignore your connection request or hit "I don't know this person," that's also going to affect your ability to send out new connection requests. So really, LinkedIn's trying to make it so people aren't spamming random people that they don't know on the platform, and really not trying to put an effort into meeting new people and finding that commonality between two people that you're able to, get an introduction or say, hey, this is why I'm reaching out to you, and make it so it's more personalized, so to speak. So what you'll see over the next couple of months probably is these restrictions that have already been there being a little bit more stringent. So meaning, if you were able to send out 75 connection requests in a day, you might only be able to send out 40 for the next couple of months, while LinkedIn is being hyper vigilant about all of this since they made press and they made it in the public. Social media companies don't like when bad press like that comes out. That's a bad reflection on them. The good thing, though, is that there wasn't an actual data breach. It is just scraped data being leaked onto the internet, which is pretty unavoidable, unfortunately, especially when these big databases have so many first degree connections that they're able to scrape this data from, which is why part of the terms of service with LinkedIn is that you can't scrape data, you can't use crawlers or bots or scrapers, and you can't automate things on the platform. And so this is one of the reasons why they do that, is to keep their user-based data safe and less public, and in turn be more valuable. Because any information that gets leaked then becomes a lot less valuable. If a phone number gets leaked and somebody starts calling that phone number a lot, chances are the person's going to change that phone number and then be a lot more careful where they put it. So when data gets in the hands of more people, it becomes less valuable, and that's not good for anyone across the board. So really the point of this video and the takeaways are, over the next few months, LinkedIn will probably be more vigilant about the restrictions they impose on accounts in terms of profile views, in terms of connection requests that you're able to send out. So you'll want to be hyper aware of that and really just respond naturally to that. So if you get a block, just take some time off. It's easy to do when you're doing that all by hand. It's a lot harder when you have a bot running and it just keeps sending connection request, even though it's blocked. That looks really bad to the system for LinkedIn, because what it looks like is, you get this notification that pops up, but you're still sending a connection request. Another notification, but you still send the connection request. And it's pretty clear to LinkedIn that you're using a bot. And that's when your account can get into some pretty serious trouble and LinkedIn jail and all of that stuff. So that's one thing to pay attention to. The other thing is just talking about in general, when data breaches or scrape data or press makes it to the news about people's data being leaked, social media companies are always going to be more hyper vigilant about their restrictions and their policies after that time period. And sometimes they impose restrictions that last forever. Other times they impose restrictions that last a couple months to kind of show that they're having a response, as well as weed out kind of the lowest hanging fruit for them, the people that are going to give up the easiest, or the people that might not know that using a bot is against their terms of service, but now that the bot isn't working as well for them, they're not going to use it as much anymore. So those are really why LinkedIn and other social media companies will impose those restrictions after bad press comes out. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight in what that data leak was, what that means for you as a common user, what that means for your data and other companies, and what that means if you're using a bot or automation or anything like that. This might be the time to move away from that and start doing prospecting by hand and trying to make a more genuine relationship with people. Hopefully this was a helpful video and you enjoyed it. Feel free to like this video and subscribe to it. Connect with me at Chris Gasolino on LinkedIn. Check out our website at uptowncreation.com. Until next time.